Welcome. You are entering CCNA's studio in STEM City, USA. CCNA is committed to equity in education, social justice, and health.
Good morning. I'm Jim Page from CCNA, and thank you for spending some time with us this morning. Our topic today is mental health and technology, and we're really fortunate to have two very, very special guests. I'm going to call them on stage to introduce themselves, and then I'll circle back. First, my good friend, Christian Bentley.
Good morning, Colonel Page. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Christian Bentley. I am an Alexandria, Virginia resident, unique Alexandria, Virginia resident. My family has lived here in the city since the late 1700s. And I'm able to be a parishioner at St. Joseph's Catholic Church here in Old Town Alexandria, where we're deeply committed to social justice and to equity. On the national level, I serve on the National Catholic Partnership on Disabilities Council on Mental Illness and Wellness. And it's a very deep, passionate project of mine. I manage a bipolar 1 disorder. I've been very vocal about that and very involved in the state and within the Catholic Church to make sure that we have appropriate initiatives to serve people.
Great. Thank you for joining us, Christian. I'll circle back because there's a connection with the next guest. Howard John. Please come on, Howard. Introduce yourself.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Howard Arjan with Black Meta Agency. I'm also located here in Northern Virginia, and this is my, it's about 5 or 6 years with CCNA since I moved to DC. So excited to be here to represent CCNA. Yes, I am a technologist. I've been in cybersecurity for well over a decade and workforce development for about 20 years combined. Currently, I serve on the board for the University of Shady Grove. I am also on the Page One Foundation board, where I've been a part of that organization since I was in undergrad. So it's definitely a 20-something year anniversary led by Colonel Page and also his family. So our organization, we focus primarily on creating of 1 million BIPOC men and women into the STEM industry, emerging tech AI. So this conversation is very much one that I've been looking forward to. We also, engage with mental health by doing meditation in the metaverse. So we use virtual reality as a tool, and we look forward to sharing how those technologies are impacting the mental health industry today.
Hey, Howard, thanks for joining us, and Christian, you too. We're all on screen together, but first, let me acknowledge St. Joseph's Catholic Church, who's kind of the connection among all of us. Christian, you want to mention Father Fest and what you guys are doing for the church?
Certainly. So our pastor at St. Joseph's Catholic Church is the Reverend Donald Fest, SSJ. He is a priest with the Josephites who have staffed the parish since its founding in 1915. And the Josephites, their charism is to witness to and minister to the African Americans. And they were established after emancipation in the United States. And so they're committed to empowering and building up the Black community. And Father Fest has done that since he's been our pastor here, deeply committed to organizations like CCNA, like Voice. We have a mental health ministry, we have a social justice ministry, and we make our church available to the community in any way that will empower them and change the community's lives for the better. So we have lots of events coming up, which I hope I'll get the opportunity to talk about later this morning. But yes, a huge shout out to Father Donald Fest, one of the Josephite priests, for bringing us all together and creating an opportunity to not just promote, but to help the advancement of African Americans.
Howard, 30 seconds from you on your relationship to the church, the coat drive, and all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. So our company has been volunteering from a social community responsibility for the past few years. We participated in the coat drive, giving out glasses and eye trainings to the community. We also are just stewards of what the St. Joseph Church is doing in the community as it relates to mental health, social justice, and also just overall holistic development of the community. I'm also a part of the Voice organization as well. So shout out to Father Fest, and we love what you're doing. The church is doing an amazing job. So if you haven't been, please visit in Alexandria, Virginia, St. Joseph Catholic Church.
Okay, guys, let's get into the heart of it. We talked before about the pros and cons of AI and technology. good points, bad points. It's a scary time and across the nation with this new technology. So what I want to do today is just kind of from your perspective, how you're a technologist and an educator. Christian, you are a fierce advocate. So let's start out with your personal advocacy about mental health and what you see as pros and cons. Christian, I'll go to you first since you're older.
Certainly. I think that there's a lot of pros with AI integration into healthcare for mental health and also into advocacy. It allows us to be able to put certain messaging in front of certain groups of people in a way, in a vernacular, and an articulation that they can understand and that will reach them deeply. Um, there's a lot of, and there's different nuances of mental health. I always say there's mental wellness. We all experience that. We all have that. There's mental illness where there's a chemical imbalance. So this can be something that can be exaggerated based on situations that are around us, based on acute trauma that's happening, or maybe just even stress levels. So AI and technology can help us with that by bridging gaps. One of the great things that COVID pushed forward that we have been advocating for a long time was an increased availability of telehealth, especially when it came to counseling sessions, med reviews, and check-in. This has been extremely helpful for people who live in rural communities and people that don't have access to regular, steady transportation like we have in a metropolitan area. They've still been able to receive care. That's a massive thing. That's been increased and helpful with AI. There's a lot of cons to it too. One of the people that I work very closely with in our advocacy group recently just got denied a life insurance because she had a suicide ideation and attempt that happened about 10 years ago. But it's still on her medical file. And when they did the deep dive in the background, she was denied coverage for that. So there's pros and cons of this. Is it helpful? Yes. Do we have a lot of boundaries that we need to enact? Absolutely.
Let me go to Howard and talk about the AI infrastructure. Howard, give us a few thoughts about how it's set up and what you're doing with it.
Yeah, so to Christian's point, there are a lot of benefits. One of the main, roadblocks that we have to making ethical AI is the developers and those who are inputting the information. AI is only as smart and only as reliable as the people that are inputting the data. And AI isn't creating information from the ethos; it's actually pulling from existing content. The ones referred to now is called the large language models. So essentially, we're inputting data in there. So if you don't have people from a diverse background who are well informed, who are actually aware and intelligent across multiple domains, then you have biases that will start to kind of pronounce itself within the data. That use case has been so evident in one that we can all relate to, which is the hand washers in the bathroom. Initially, the hand washers did not detect black skin because the developers were not of brown descent or African-American descent. So essentially, they had to go back and use black and brown skin to actually redevelop the sensitivity of these. Same thing with headsets. We have VR headsets, and sometimes they can't detect the brown skin. Therefore, the device doesn't work. And so I know companies today from Mississippi to San Francisco who had to go back and do another contract just to get brown people to test the devices. Same thing with AI in healthcare. If you don't have people who are honestly ethical, who are intelligent, who have spent a lot of time in this space inputting the right data in, then we're going to get very mixed outputs. And so, with our company, we're working with other companies to develop different AI tools that are allowing for more ethical and more dynamic reporting so that we have better results. So AI is only a tool based on who the people are. And so it's more of a testament to the people that are developing these inputs versus AI itself.
Talk a little more about the people. Where do you find them and how do you train them and how does that work?
Yeah. So as a workforce development professional, the issue with finding them is actually, as we talked about, destigmatizing and demystifying what technology is. The major issue today is that minorities make up a very small percentage of the technology infrastructure and the workforce. So in order for us to have ethical AI and very diverse inputs, we need actually to increase how we're recruiting. How we find them today have been traditional means from 4 and 2-year colleges. But our company, along with other companies, now are finding non-traditional roads to input more talent into the emerging technology space. So the best way we can start to find better talent is to create more broader campaigns. I love what STEM City and Baya is doing by creating a very strong narrative at their conferences throughout the year when it comes to people of color and technology. So it's not so much how we find them. The question is, what ways are we going to do to create more inroads into this industry?
Christian, you had a comment. I saw your hand come up.
Yeah, I think that's really important that Howard brought up, especially when you talk about people who are involved. Just thinking about this from an advocacy standpoint with medical practitioners and health professionals and the comments that they're making in medical files, how someone notes something, how someone writes about how this patient is dealing with a crisis or how they're receiving treatment or responding to treatment. There's so much data out there that Black and brown people, number one, are the highest number to get misdiagnosed, especially when it comes to bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and or borderline multiple personality disorder. And so when we already have the statistics that African Americans and brown people in the United States don't receive adequate, fair health care, and then AI tools are reading people's medical files, and they're taking all of this to make decisions for their healthcare, to approve claims, to approve paying for hospitalization visits, or to rate someone on what level of crisis that they might possibly be in. That leaves a lot of concern about who is actually doing this. So I think Howard brought up a perfect point. It's AI, the digital tools that we have are only as good as the people who are behind them.
Yeah.
Howard, this is a
add something else to that one.
Before you do that, one thing. No, go ahead, Howard. I'll come back to you. Go ahead, please.
So, and another one, because Christian brought up, he made me remember. We all know of how our schools today are misdiagnosing our young Black and brown kids and placing them in remedial course classes. And that is just a very similar use case to what AI is going to be doing, because now they are not understanding the behaviors and the responses that minorities may have just based on cultural differences, home influences. So now we have the same thing going in Web 3. And this is Web 3 when we talk to AI. So Web 2 is what we're referring to now with, teachers putting inputs in the system and now generating reports. Web 3 is what this AI conversation is. And so again, just like a lot of our males, young males in middle and high school, or elementary and middle school are being diagnosed at an early age, now puts them on a trajectory that is not becoming of them becoming their highest selves.
Yeah. Howard, I was going to come to you for both of you to think about the impact of technology on our education system. You just addressed part of it, not just minorities, but in general. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? And how do we make it a good thing? Christian,
Well,
go ahead, Howard.
I think it's a great thing. But again, right now, like with the University of Shady Grove, we're creating campaigns across the entire state that talks about creating the future fluid student. So that's students who are versed in multiple disciplines that also includes STEM disciplines. To your point, Colonel Page, the way that this industry is going to really adjust more appropriately to the times and to the nuances is if we have people that are not just technologists, but are clinical professionals, that are healthcare professionals, that are even health and wellness professionals. And it's about having a layered approach to how we develop people. So I see AI as a great way because technology because it allows integration of multiple fields. So now we have a lot of more customized and more nuances in how we diagnose, provide solutions, and also treat people across the entire spectrum.
Comments, Christian, you had something?
I think Howard just hit that right out of the park with that answer. I don't have anything to add to that, but I saw Annette's question pop up on the screen. Is it a HIPAA privacy violation? I'm assuming she's asking. And the answer to that is no. We do a very bad job of reading before we sign and give our signature, giving people permission or apps to take information from us. So in that language, we give, your insurance company, life insurance, whoever's, even auto insurance, which is very interesting. People should really read the agreement. We give them permission to do a deep dive into our lives. And so, no, it's not a privacy violation once we sign that agreement and we give them access.
Kristen, can you talk a little more about insurance and the cost of insurance? Does AI reduce the cost of insurance, increase it, or nothing? None of the above.
It definitely does not decrease our cost of health insurance. I don't know that I don't have the resources to say rather it affects the cost of it. What I will say is that AI can potentially end up being a great tool with our healthcare industry. But as an advocate, I am extremely cautious, because when you remove the human factor of something, and when you remove the human factor from making decisions about healthcare, that is going to be a disaster. There's plenty of studies. There's a couple of lawsuits even that are currently pending of patients who have sued health insurance companies for being denied claims. And then to come to find out, a doctor never actually read the claim. A medical professional never read the claim. AI denied the claim. And so that makes advocates extremely worried. And so rather that's going to help the cost or not, no. I think, we see corporate greed at an all-time high. So even if they're using less actual medical professionals to read something and they're using AI services to do more work that people used to do, that's never going to translate into a cheaper cost of health insurance for American citizens.
Well, access and cost is always a driver, no matter what the issues are. Howard, I'm going to come to you to talk a little bit about what you're doing with the Lions Club and blindness, and you've done a couple of workshops. Can you share that? Before you do that, Chris, I'm going to come back to you and talk about what you're doing with mental health. So get ready for that. Go ahead, Howard.
Yeah, so I want to give a big shout out to the host, Alexandria Lions Club, again in Alexandria, Virginia. Our company, along with Fin Digital, we actually started a series of workshops entitled AI and Emerging Technology for the Visually Impaired. And in those workshops, we are being the Lions Club's consultants when it comes to sharing what is the breaking news and breaking resources in AI and emerging technologies in relation to that population. A lot of people are overlooking those who have disabilities. However, AI and emerging technology, such as artificial reality, has actually made people that have disabilities more independent, such as there's an AR book bag that allows for someone that has a visual impairment or a hearing impairment to understand what's in front of them, what's behind them, what's around them. So if they're walking up a street, this AR book bag and also belt buckle also lets them know in their earpiece, hey, 50 feet in front of you, you have a Starbucks, or 25 feet to your left, you have a fire hydrant. So now it actually enhances how they're able to function in society. And so those are some of the ways that we're supporting the Lions Club, and also those with visual and hearing impairments become more independent using technology.
Howard, before you leave, just got a question from a pastor in Greensboro talking about the ethical issues in development. Do you guys address that at all? Are you waiting for the next generation of AI to come along?
Well, we actually are. I sit on a lot of boards. I'll actually be speaking to the International Franchise Association about ethical data usage when it comes to them using AI for marketing purposes. Also with the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce, if you're in the East Coast or feel like coming to D.C., the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce does a wonderful job in addressing the policy side of AI, which dovetails into the ethical side. So yes, we are doing a pretty decent job of approaching that topic. We also are helping other organizations create thought leadership discussions that actually allow us to do white papers and share those to the powers that be. And so it's really going to be about everyone being informed and also being open-minded and bringing in some of what's really good in Web 2 and in the real world, IRL, which is in real life, into Web 3 / the AI community.
You want to take 30 seconds and give a shout out to Ron Busby and Antoine Ford, your partners?
Absolutely. I just want to say, I really appreciate what Ron Busby and Antoine Ford. Ron is the president and CEO of the U.S. Black Chambers, and Antoine is actually a mentor, but also he serves as the vice chair of the U.S. Black Chamber and many boards across the country. The U.S. Black Chamber allowed me to moderate their policy discussion on crypto and emerging technologies a couple of years ago. With senators from across the United States that are doing an amazing job in broaching the topic. Even in Washington, D.C., our own Mayor Bowser has even said, hey, she's going to put a committee together to start exploring how AI can be used in their government to make things more efficient. Because right now we're in a major inflated community or economy where we have to be very strategic with how we're spending our dollars. So those are the upsides of what AI can do when it comes to efficiency and cost effectiveness.
One correction: your mayor is Mayor Justin Wilson. You live in Alexandria.
Yes, I live in Alexandria, and we're waiting on Mayor Wilson to take a stance on how we're going to use AI in Northern Virginia communities, specifically Alexandria. Shout out to Justin Wilson.
Just a quick comment on that. I think that it's super important too that we have people with lived experiences as a part of these processes. And many times, even in 2024, as aware as we are as a society, we forget to include people with lived experiences in these trials and in these discussions. So just wanted to quick.
Christian, I know your passion for homelessness and mental health and how they intersect. You want to give a couple examples of what you're doing and the issues that you're working and your partners?
Certainly.
Please.
So I'll start locally first with Alexandria. I think Alexandria, Virginia is really this unique mecca. We're a very affluent community, but a very diverse community with a lot of needs. However, we are fortunate that we have citizens who are strategically placed in their fields where we're able to bring great groups together, like CCNA. There's another organization called Voice. You have these religious and interfaith institutions that are actively working on community change and helping make our community a better place. So we constantly have things going on in programs where we're trying to put the connection of affordable housing, the issue with housing insecurity, food insecurity, inadequate access to healthcare, which is a great thing with the Lions Club and CCNA and Howard has done with the eyeglass and the visions and the glaucoma testing that we've been able to do in our community. And all of this, when people are so stressed, they cannot experience full mental wellness. And that impacts the type of decisions that they make, whether it's financial decisions, social decisions, family decisions. You cannot make good decisions when you're constantly bogged down with trying to take care, trying to secure your day-to-day necessities. And so all of this is very connected. I am very passionate about making sure that wherever we're talking about anything socially, mental health is always part of that conversation because it's always affected. We have a couple cool programs coming up. This one in particular that's coming up in June is a Black Men's Health Conference in the city of Alexandria with a lot of great partnerships with Inova, our police department and sheriff's office here in town, our city health department, different interfaith health institutions that are going to be there. In July, we have July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. We have a program that's tailored towards minority mental health. What do those concerns look like? And then also what services are available in the community. One of the things that AI can extremely help us with is most people have no idea of the services available in their community. And when they meet someone who is dealing with a health crisis, when they themselves are dealing with something, the first thing they do is call 911. And most communities, especially metropolitan communities in the United States, have a full structure of mental health services, of crisis intervention that prevent people from having to go through the trauma of dealing with the police when they're sick.
All right. Christian, just a few days ago, you held a session with Voice around homelessness and housing. 30 seconds on how that came out, how many people came.
Certainly. So this was the first Voice. So Voice is Virginians Organized for Interfaith Community Engagement, and we represent about 100,000 citizens in Northern Virginia through different various interfaith institutions. We had our first action in Alexandria. We had a current councilwoman, Aaliyah Gaskins, who's also running for mayor, brilliant, passionate African-American leader in our community. And we put out what we need for affordable housing. We're in a crisis. And, it's amazing. If someone's dealing with housing issues, and we talk about education and kids, that kid is also affected. And then that kid is being punished when they come to school, when they're dealing with stress, when they're dealing with levels of anxiety that they don't have the language to be able to articulate, and then we punish them. So again, housing is such a base root for all of the other societal issues that are going on in our country. So Voice Action, we had almost 150 people show up. We were expecting 80 to join the conversation. It was standing room only, and first of many. We have a lot more of these actions coming up in Alexandria.
The music was good too, so congratulations. I want to talk to you a little bit about what you're doing as a technologist with virtual reality and how that connects with mental health.
Yeah. So actually, there was a great question in the chat that asked, how is AI and emerging technology helping with, I think, health and wellness and I think prenatal care. So we actually we're working with organizations like Porchfest DC, going back to our meditation, because meta is the play on the word meditation in the metaverse.
That's hard to say. That's really hard to say.
Yeah, it is. Meditation, you got to articulate. But in a recent conversation I had with the Department of Veteran Affairs and Bailey, they have a program called the VA Immersive. VA Immersive is how the VA is integrating virtual reality into their health and wellness programs, not only for veterans, but for their staff. And so they found that they can actually enhance the quality of treatment services by leveraging immersive environments that allow for the patient to be relaxed, soothed, and transported out of their existing environment that can be chaotic and cluttered into an environment that can be calming, soothing, with sounds that are therapeutic. And so our organization, our company, Black Meta Agency, we're developing a platform that actually has workforce development, health and wellness, a career pipeline where companies can engage within the metaverse and other things of that nature. So, we understand the holistic approach to developing professionals. It's not just about the hard skills, right? It's the soft skills that keep you the job, and hard skills get you the job. And so we understand that if we're transitioning a community that has been disenfranchised and has had access to wealth and to wealth automatically, that's a traumatic experience. And that trauma comes with a lot of pitfalls that can allow them to exit out of that industry. And so we understand that retention is super important when it comes to holistic development of those new and existing career changers who are going to be in technology.
What's most frustrating for you in what you do, Howard? What really frustrates you?
I think the frustrating part is actually the stigma that we have when it comes to technology. People don't realize that AI has been around for a very long time. Virtual reality has been on for a very long time. I'll give a really quick, class on extended reality. If you have a filter on your phone, that's augmented to reality. So you've been filtering all of the nonsense out of your face and smoothing those corners and things like that for a while. If you have a backup camera on your car, that is mixed reality. And mixed reality is taking the existing reality and putting a digital overlay onto it. And so when we look at AI, if you're ever, searching or talking to your device or talking around your device, and automatically you see some ad pop up on Facebook or Google, that is AI. So the issue that I have is the fact that we have this whole, I don't want to be in technology and technology is the devil, but you actually love it because some of your favorite apps, some of your favorite devices, and some of your, favorite cars have a lot of these technologies integrated into them already and have been for years.
Christian, what about your walk with mental health issues? What frustrates you?
I think what frustrates me is that there's still a lot of stigma. And I think that sometimes when we try as a society to break down that stigma, we only add to the problem. I'll give an example. I think it's wonderful when celebrities use their platform to promote something. But then we have this kind of a sycophant culture sometimes where we jump on the bandwagon, for lack of a better expression. And so there was a little bit of time there, especially during the COVID years of 2020 and 2021, where there was a lot of fog around mental health, mental wellness, and mental illness. And what it inadvertently did is like, yes, we're talking about mental health, which is great and fantastic, but it added this fog and this delusion of what mental illness was. And so you had people with situational issues like, you lost your job, you've lost a loved one, whatever that looks like, versus people with chemical imbalances who cannot control their behavioral side effects. And even in the discussion with mental health, just really quickly, with mental illness, I still think there's a disconnect with people that if someone has a diagnosed mental illness, the side effect of that is not only physical, like diabetes or someone who has heart disease, but there's also behavioral side effects, because our chemical balance is what produces behavior. It's what moves us and drives us to do things. If someone's sick and those chemicals are imbalanced, then their behavior is off. We still have such a major disconnect in our society from the support that we offer people at work, to our criminal justice system, to our faith institutions, of how we talk to, how we manage, and how we support people with chemical imbalances.
For both of you guys, I'm going to bring it back to another common bond, and it's your work with the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, or Mr. Raul Andrews and his team. You want to talk about what you're doing with Raul and his team collectively? Howard, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So with Raul's team, we have attended at least 2 or 3 open town halls rather, when it comes to having discussions around mental health with different segment populations, such as African American males, the minority community. And so we've been able to actually have very in-depth conversations around topics that are fleeting to our community and also understood or have a lack of understanding, as Christians is referring to, such as caregivers in our family and the trauma and the mental health challenges they go through while trying to maintain their 9-to-5 in their life, while giving so much to a relative that may have declining health. Even so, we've done some great conversations when it comes to the VA and how the VA is integrating itself with the APA in regards to services and awareness. We also look to do some more programming with the APA this fall during the CBC when it comes to having people engage with that brand and understanding how APA has been an integral part from government to private and to our grassroots organizations. So, I really want to give a great shout out to Raul Andrews and his entire staff and what they're doing to start bringing in new faces and new perspectives into the psychological conversation when it comes to our awareness. And I would like to add to Kristen's point, another point that I want to add around the stigmas around mental health is that, they don't realize that people around them, we all have different severities and different levels of mental health crises that we experience. And a lot of us have been afraid and also underwhelmed rather with resources and people that they can trust. Our culture, African American culture in the United States, we have substituted religion in the place of therapy. And we're seeing a lot of distortion and understanding people's issues. So, I really salute and celebrate what Christian has been doing and also what CCNA is doing around bringing in mental health professionals into our inner cities and to our urban communities to start socializing these discussions to make them a household discussion topic versus something that you talk about in the corner when someone is having an episode. So yes, I appreciate the work that they're doing, and shout out to CCNA for doing an amazing job of finding interesting ways to integrate these conversations into almost every discussion, every event that they have.
Guys, it's 11:30 here, but in California it's 8:30, and I just got a note from my good friend Cedric Wilson at Stanford University. Good morning, Cedric. Glad you could join us. Talk about the breakfast, the dinner, our stakeholder breakfast. Christian, please.
Certainly. So this is also, this comes in with what Mr. Andrews is doing at the American Psychiatric Association Foundation. That is a long name.
It is. Good job,
But
brother. Good job.
what they're doing, what CCNA is doing, St. Joseph is thrilled to be a partner of this, where we have our community stakeholder breakfast. Is about once a quarter. And what it does is it brings in everyone from the community. For us, it's our hospital partners, it's our criminal justice partners, people with the police force, the sheriff's department, also philanthropy in the community, people who are running foundations, people who are raising money, and bring everyone into one room, all of the leaders together, and say, these are the issues affecting our community. What is everyone working on, and how can we collaborate and partner and support each other? It takes it away and adds to the effectiveness so that we're not on all little different islands. I have to add this about Raul Andrews at the APA Foundation is I get to work with a lot of different mental health initiatives that are both corporate, private, and public. What Mr. Andrews is doing is phenomenal because he's bringing multiple people together. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a room and it's just a bunch of clinicians or just a bunch of academia. Two sets of people who are extremely important to the discussion. But when you don't bring in people with lived experiences, community advocates, healthcare professionals, housing advocates, to bring everyone to the table, it's all interconnected. So his leadership in this is something that can be mirrored nationwide as everyone's talking about mental health, as everyone's trying to be invested in it and to do the best thing. If you want a good example to follow, look at the American Psychiatric Association Foundation and how they are bringing people together and creating these diverse conversations. This is where change really takes place.
Kristen, back to you. You did not mention the what we had for breakfast and who prepared it.
We have a wonderful Southern woman who runs our church. Most churches are ran on the backbones of women, and shout out to all the good church mothers and aunties and sisters out there. Beverly Anderson is the glue that keeps St. Joseph's together.
Yes, she is.
And Miss Anderson can make some grits. I don't care who you think can make grits in your family. Ms. Anderson can make some grits. So we always have good old Beverly Anderson grits at all of our community stakeholder breakfasts. And I always think it's really funny when we get some posh people that attend the breakfast for the first time, and they're like, "What is this? Grits? What are we doing?" And they're a hit every time. Again, it adds the humanity to the conversation, and the fact that we're all neighbors and we're all working towards the greater good of our community.
Mm-hmm. Howard, I'm going to bring you back to the business side. You mentioned working with the Black Chamber of Commerce. What are some of the projects that you have coming down the road that would have an AI overtone to them?
Yeah, so I sit on a board for the Greater Washington Black Chamber of Commerce, right across the water in DC. And we actually have a conference called Let's Talk Black Tech. And in Let's Talk Black Tech, we actually are targeting government, we're targeting nonprofits, but also entrepreneurs and those who are career changers and quote unquote, those who are pivoting into the industry. And so that's an amazing project. And just in general with the U.S. Black Chambers, they do a phenomenal job on the business side of helping minority-owned businesses connect with industry when it comes to technology opportunities. And as a whole, across the entire spectrum, we actually advocate for a lot of bills and also a lot of programs on the Hill when it comes to democratizing technology opportunities and also just government contracts. And so, we actually do a great job of that. My company, we are hosting a festival next Sunday in Eastern Market, DC. It's called Chocolate Con, and it's a celebration of Chocolate City. And we are integrating virtual reality. We have done a tours of DC with a 360 camera, So now residents will be able to go into the metaverse and see an immersive experience of different parts of the community that may have been overlooked. We also are working with the DC Startup Week on their conference in October, and also the Black Women in Blockchain Conference. And in 2025, we're actually helping to put on an AI conference in Detroit, Michigan. So Bea, I look forward to partnering with you to have you all as a strategic partner, as well as the APA and other organizations that are here today. Again, you can find us on any platform and Black Meta Agency to follow what we're doing in the community. And we do these conversations, these virtual conversations, almost every week, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. So this is just, an exciting opportunity to be a part of STEM City USA today.
Yeah, for both of you, though, we talk often about partnerships and connecting the dots. Let's get together again and look at the implications of AI and the legal justice system, AI and homelessness, AI and insert here. Howard, you also mentioned that you were doing some thoughts about working with the police department, the sheriff department, using AI as a tool. Talk to me about that.
Yes. So we developed a tool, actually an entire solution set that has AI, it has virtual reality, and also it has a digital device that connects to your iPhone or to your smartwatch. And so this tool actually, this system actually allows our public servants to manage their responses to very intense and traumatic experiences in the workplace, even in the field. For instance, if we want our public servants to be more adequately equipped to dealing with intense environments, then we simulate those environments. The device that attaches onto their body and to their arm, it actually tells them their heart rate response, and then the AI helps them to generate what are some coping skills that can allow you to decrease your heart rate and to calm down your triggers, so that now you're not trigger happy, pun intended, but so that you are able to respond better in those situations. And so, that's a wonderful project that we developed. We look forward to rolling it out across the United States. The amazing thing about this is that we are 3 or 4 years behind. Other countries like the Netherlands, other countries in the UK have been using these tools for years. And it's incumbent upon us US citizens to be more exploratory when we're looking at solutions that are not just directly impacting mental health, but indirectly impacting other industries, as you said, from our public force to our public citizens, even to office environments. If you know you're in customer service and you get triggered every time someone calls and screaming, then there are AI tools and also simulations that we can develop to help to thwart that and to decrease your negative experiences with that.
Christian, back to you to talk about community engagement and information flow. We talk about it all the time. Just because you send something doesn't mean somebody received it. Your recent experiences that we had with the NAACP and sharing information about what you're trying to do. You want to share that?
Certainly. So, collaboration and partnerships is everything that we have to do if we're going to drive change in our local communities. My approach to advocacy is, yes, there are great things that we need to do on the national level, and it's very important and it's very good. But if each of us would focus our resources and our intentions locally, if we change our communities locally, we all do that, then things automatically change on a broader spectrum nationally. We had a great meeting with the NAACP in Alexandria. It's a smaller group than I think it's been in other years present, but filled with people who are intentional and who are driven to the NAACP's mission. But they need support. Just like Voice needs support, and CCNA and St. Joseph's, and we all work together. So I think it's really important that we support each other's meetings and go to them with very clear asks. One of the things that I love about meeting with Colonel Page, you're going to know exactly what he wants. It's going to be very clear, very from the beginning. And what that does is it creates this comfort to say what you need and ask for what you need. I want to take the opportunity just to answer a quick question that was put in the chat earlier that talked about how can we use AI to not prevent, but maybe to be more alert of mental health issues within adolescents. and we really get into some really intense privacy issues with this. You know, do we have the tools today in 2024 to probably prevent some suicides and some gun violence, especially at schools? Absolutely, we do. We absolutely do. But how do we do that without breaking the law? How do we do that without violating citizens' privacy rights? So it's a balancing act, but these are the conversations and the dialogues that we need to be having. When you talk about how can technology, and I'd be interested how Howard can respond to this, how can technology help us to prevent social harm? We have the tools to be able to do it. The United States government uses it, but how can we do that on a more localized way? And how can we do that to better serve our young people who are struggling?
Wow. Good point.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Howard, please. Go ahead.
I give a quick response to that. And, a lot of our issues that we're finding today are because of our technology devices, like our cell phones, especially within the elementary, middle, and high schools. And so there are proxies and software that you can download onto your students' devices that actually monitors the quality of information that they're inputting. So it runs in the background at their system. And then if they're typing negative words, if they're spending an inordinate amount of time on the internet, then it can literally make an awareness or an alert pop up for that student. And so it's so important that we understand that, yes, as Christian said, these tools are there. Yes, there are some nuances and some spaces that we need to be very sensitive to. However, with the amount of time our students are spending, with the research that shows how suicide and negative self-perceptions are linked to social media and to the overuse of our phones, we behoove ourselves not to start downloading the proper softwares and monitoring devices and monitoring programs on our children's devices and even on our existing streaming platforms. Netflix, Hulu, all of these platforms have monitoring systems that allow you to thwart or to decrease certain types of content that students are exposed to. And we know what goes in comes out. So if you're programming your mind with certain type of information, data points, content, then it's going to come out and pronounce itself in all kind of interesting ways that we are still seeing today, because this is the first generation where children have had a cell phone from when they came out of the womb until now. I do want to give a shout out to Victory XR. They are our VR education partner. And if you are looking to integrate VR into your classroom, Victory XR has helped Morehouse University create the first Meta University, and they're in about 100 institutions across the United States. We use Victory XR from a workforce development standpoint that trains students and exposes them to STEM careers. So again, I'm so excited to be here on STEM City to share, everything we're doing across the spectrum of AI and emerging technology.
Howard, remember, if you do that, you have to pay for an ad.
Okay, I got you. Okay, I got you.
Thanks, guys. We've got a couple minutes, but I want to do my punch list. Some things that I think we agree we should do. One is learn to appreciate the generational differences in the acceptance of AI. And my generation, I see it one way. Christian, you're younger. Howard, you're even younger. So as we go forward, let's look at that matrix that says, if I'm Alan Lomax, I'm 100 years old, I see it one way. Or if I'm a younger person, we see it a different way. So I really want to make sure that we're talking to the entire community. Mary Lee Anderson runs senior services. There is a role for AI in senior services service. So let's think about who's at the table and how we can make this conversation be a tool and value added to them. So I'm just kind of thinking about what we're going forward. The next thing I got for you is in September, you guys have agreed to join us for another AI session around the CBC. It will probably be hosted by APF. But let's look at the impact of education on the next generation. Right now, Alexander Senior High School is a huge school with a lot of different issues, and it's not all STEM. Some of it is just professional development. So I'm really trying to make sure that we tie what we're doing to the family. Next point, we have not said anything about the parents in AI. How do parents interact with their kids in AI? Howard, I'm going to come back to you on this one. I came to your veterans thing downtown a few months ago, And the lady sat there and drew me with an AI. And she gave me a picture of myself in an Army uniform. And I thought it was real cool. But then when I walked out, I got scared because she actually took part of my identity from me while I was sitting there talking to her. She was impressed with herself, and I walked out thinking, this is not good. How do I feel better about that?
Well, I mean, we feel better by, first of all, understanding.
Well, how do I feel better? Not you. How do I feel better about it?
Well, you feel better, again, people like you, and just, I say we because, I still have my qualms when it comes to AI.
Okay.
Because I got into AI and the emerging technology space because I saw that the creators weren't ethical, they weren't spiritual, they weren't grounded. And so they were making predatory software and also things that were not diverse. So I got into this to actually add diversity into this space and more awareness of why we need more people that look like us from diversity backgrounds. How we and yourself, Colonel Page, and people like you in that position and start to understand what are those security boundaries when it comes to sharing your information. How far does this information go? Does it just live on that device? Is it on someone's internal cloud system, or is it on an open source system? So, those are the ways for security. I think the second way is just understanding the spectrum of change when it comes to education. Long ago, healthcare was said that, hey, if you're sick, you need to bleed yourself out in order to get well. Put mercury in your system. Now we progress to doing all other kind of ways of addressing, health issues. Same way with education and learning and business. We used to never even knew what computing was. Now everyone has one at their fingertips. So I think it's a part of it, us just getting comfortable with the progression of change and accepting change, but also putting people like Christian, yourself, Quan, Jackie, and people from different generations and backgrounds to give insight and perspectives that may be overlooked by the younger generation.
I guess my point being, this needs to be a personal issue for everybody. So when we package it, let's think about what makes you feel better versus the next guy. Because when I left there, I was really kind of disillusioned. But because you gave us free lunch, I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
About
I have a question for you, Colonel Page. I have the mic now. So Colonel Page, Colonel Page, over the past, I think 9 months, you've been engaging more with AI than ever. You use it in your daily life. Can you tell us how AI has allowed you to add more time to your life, has taken out your stress when it comes to your workload? Because if y'all don't know, Colonel Page sits on multiple boards. He advises the mayors, the vice mayors. He's leading private organizations. And again, he's doing this on his Saturday morning. He's been retired for well over 15, 20 years. So Colonel Page, how has AI allowed you to decrease your stress levels and giving you more time back in your life?
Can I read the notes that you sent me? Can I read what you told me? No, it's a combat multiplier. It really helps a lot. I mean, it shortens my day up, and it's really. Thank you for introducing me to AI. I'll just leave it at that. I want to make it work, but I want it to be a journey that the whole community can join us on. I've got some things I got to cover, guys, because people will beat me up if I don't. Howard, I need you to circle back on AI and small businesses. My good friend Pastor Lou is having a conference in August around small businesses. I'd like to have you and Ron Busby connect with it. Christian, we need to blow up July at the church with all of the players and all the input. With that, I'd like to have a resource room being built so guys can send stuff in, what we're doing, best practices. So when they get there, they're better prepared. The other thing I had was, Kristen, I need your credit card number to pay my rent. We didn't talk much about kids. We talk about education, about the struggling students who don't know STEM, who have an appreciation for music. So I've got a series of things that you'll hear about is how we tie it all together. So it's a journey and experience for the whole family that's driven by AI. And the last thing I would say to all of us is when you look at our city and our leaders, and I'm talking about from Mayor Wilson all the way down to guys in my neighborhood, we're all sitting at this table and we're looking for you guys and guys like you to come in and say, AI is a good thing and this is how I can help you. So look at it from their perspective, if that makes sense. If I'm in the library, how can AI help Rose Dawson and RJ Davis? If I'm the vice mayor, how can it help with policy implications and budget. We didn't talk much about budget. If I'm the new chief of police, why do I care about AI? Because it reduces my workforce, it improves my workforce. So all of those things, I like to put a verb in front of what we do. We can do this so that things happen. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of your dance card. I got two other things, and I'm gonna jump off. My summary statements are pretty simple. From my perspective, Howard, going back to what you said, as a leader here in the community or community member, AI is a good thing. It can be an even better thing if we do it right. But it's got to be a joint journey with all of us legally. Brian Porter needs to weigh in. The patent office needs to weigh in. Alfred Street Baptist Church needs to have it in their pulpit, in their language. So we don't want AI to be something new. We want it to be something good that's woven into our fabric. Right. So I'll close with this example. Howard, we worked on a project out in Denver, building a railroad from Denver out to the airport. And one of the things we did, we brought everybody in and said, what's your role in building this railroad? So this AI journey is a joint effort among all of us. And I want to take these opportunities to acknowledge the folk who are joining us from wherever you are, that just please circle back and hit us, because the conversations will continue. Our goal here is to inform the public, inspire them, and empower them to be part of the journey.
Right.
So that's kind of where we are. I know there's a lot more things we want to cover. I've got another comment here from, right, this is from my son. I'm not going to answer this one. He didn't care. I'll give you one more. Andre Rogers has a question for you. Howard, he wants to know, when did we get started again? This is from Andre, your colleague.
Oh, hey, Andre. Yeah. I actually created a joint venture with an AI company, and we develop solutions for business solutions for AI companies, from marketing to data, and also to finding more ways of efficiency. So I look forward to reaching back out to you, Mr. Rogers, and shout out to Andre. Andre actually is an amazing leader in the technology community. You can look him up on LinkedIn. It's Andre R. Rogers on LinkedIn. But also to close out, the way to contact Black Meta Agency, again, type in Black Meta Agency online. You'll find our website. You can follow us on Instagram or any platform by typing in Black Meta Agency. I love connecting on LinkedIn. So you can type my name, Howard R. Jean, on LinkedIn. And again, if you want us to come out, we do VR activations across the entire United States, where we manage 300 people going into the metaverse for STEM career exploration, as well as engaging with meditation in the metaverse, and just using VR for workforce development and training. So, thank you, Colonel Page, for moderating such a great panel discussion. Christian, it's been an honor to connect with you in this format, and look forward to meeting you in person as I see you doing some amazing things across various industries.
Howard, you're going to get your ads in for free, right?
Thank you.
One last thing, guys. Saturday, June 8th, Charles Houston Rec Center here in Alexandria. Come out and be part of the Black Men's Health Expo. We want you there. We want you to get the word out. And to my colleagues, Duran and the guys on the team, Pastor Lou and Pastor Page, all these guys, we can never thank you enough for what we do together each day. And to our colleagues in the city, a lot of work to be done, not much time left to do it. So we'll have these continuing conversations on STEM City and on community forums. And then good ideas have no cutoff date. So share them with them. So guys, I'm going to say thank you to all of us. I think I'm supposed to back off now, and something's going to happen on the screen, I think. Juan, don't let me down on this one. So.
Hello world. Get ready. I'm Tyrone Taborn, the creator of Colin, a 3D AI digital library. The forefront of AI-powered digital libraries. Our purpose? To illuminate the vast legacy and drive the innovative future of women and minorities in STEM. Inspired by legends and built for enlightenment and empowerment. Our mission is clear: to close the digital divide. And here's the best part. Colin will be available just in time for the holidays. Knowledge, evolved.